Ooh, that was some wow. Who was that, Tom? It was...
Latino America Unida. It was a super group pulled together for the end of the Jazz Fest last weekend.
Whoa, that was so nice. All right, well, moving from jazz to back to the show, we have an old pal on today, Omar Lopez. And I first met Omar along with his brother Obed when we were doing community organizing in the early days in the 60s. And he was with the Latin American Defense Organization. And our paths have crossed many times since then. He does great work, and we're glad to have him on today. He is going to talk a little bit about Latino organizing over the years in Chicago. And we'll start off, though, with his job, which is a very important one, as the director of Calor. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Mike. Yes, well, thank you for the invitation.
Tell us about Calor.
Yes, I'm the executive director of Calor. Calor is a not-for-profit that was organized back in 1991 when the HIV/AIDS epidemic was beginning to be felt in the Latino community. Now people that were being affected, didn't have access to services in Spanish. So we organized a support group to begin to talk about what we needed to do to get services. We started a support group, and so it was all volunteer. 91, by 94, we began to go after funding from the Department of Public Health in Chicago and the AIDS Foundation of Chicago. And we added case management and what they call psychosocial. From there on, unfortunately the epidemic grew, and so we also grew as an organization. A lot of the organizations that popped up at the beginning of the epidemic in Chicago and all over the United States, they disappeared. At the beginning, it was a phenomena that because the big agencies, they were not responding. They were not touching HIV/AIDS. But once funding began to flow in, then the big agencies began to come in and get some of that funding, and the small organizations that were advocacy organizations began to disappear. We ran that problem. We ran into that problem that we were just about to disappear also, because we were just a small organization. We merged with the larger agencies, in order to survive and to continue having services. That was back in 1997 that we merged with Annexter Center. In 2017, we merged with another organization, which is an organization that I like to tell a little bit about it. It's the AHF, AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Mm-hmm. It's a global organization. It's serving in 40 countries. It has about 1 million HIV patients in care. And in Chicago, the presence of AHF in Chicago is through 2 clinics and 1 pharmacy. One clinic is in Hyde Park, one is on 26 in Michigan, and the pharmacy is in Boys Town. So, they're spreading. Now, they also have 2 affiliates in Chicago. One is Southside Health Center, way south on Halsted, and Calor. We became one of the affiliates. So that's the presence of HF in Chicago, and I think that we're now beginning to make a good impact.
You've also done, in addition to direct healthcare and other support services, you've moved into housing.
We did housing. When we began to deal with Latinos that were beginning to feel the impact of HIV, one of the first problems that was coming up at that time was they were losing their homes, they were losing their apartments, and they had to be moved out of the neighborhood where they were living, where they had all their support systems. So we got into housing, and the way we did at that time, there was an organization called ACT UP.
Mm-hmm.
ACT UP was, very, very much in tune with the kind of things that we used to do, and so we partnered with them. We had some demonstrations. On World AIDS Day, we had a big demonstration in front of HUD, saying, where's the housing for people that are HIV positive. So that's how we got into housing. We managed a 17-unit building, and it's all for people with HIV. That's one of the requirements. So we got into that via, and of course we got into other things. Employment, it's also been one of the things that we've had in our menu of services. So right now, the emphasis that we are putting into our services is testing. Testing, because what we need to do is we need to find the people that are out there and they don't know their status. Right now, for example, in Chicago, we have about 24,000 people living with HIV. And the brunt of it is in the African American communities. They represent about 60% of that. The Latino community, it's about 21%. And the 19% difference is with others, but the African American community and the Latino community are the ones that are they've been feeling the brunt of the epidemic. So that was one of the things also that helped us a lot, in partnering or becoming, merging with AHF, because now we begin to do this type of outreach that we couldn't do before because of funding. So AHF funds all of these things for us. AHF has pharmacy, and out of every dollar that the pharmacy makes, 96 cents go back into programs. So that's how we've been able to survive.
Some people feel that the HIV/AIDS crisis is past. We have medications now, and it's no longer an epidemic. And indeed, thought organizations like yours would fade away.
Well, it's interesting. The medications have developed, to the point where people who are in treatment, the virus is undetected, and that's good. The problem, especially in Chicago, is that 60% of the people that have been identified as positive have fallen out of care. They're not in treatment. So
Why is that?
I think there's several problems. Again, we talked about housing. Housing is a big problem. You have to be really disciplined, to take your medications. If you don't have a place to live, it's very difficult. Your priorities are different. I think that's one of them. I think that we have a population that has a lot of problems in mental health. And so there's several things that contribute to the fact that a lot of people, knowing that they're positive, are not in treatment. So that's one of the emphasis that we are placing, because the areas where we have the concentration of people that have fallen out of care are Edgewater, Uptown, Lakeview, and of course then the west side and the south side.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do some outreach out there and find them to put them back into treatment. AHF provides treatment regardless of our ability to pay. So that's what we're doing right now.
Omar Lopez, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. I've known you a long time, and you worked with the Latin American Defense Organization, you worked with the Young Lords Organization, you were involved with the Green Party, involved with Chuy Garcia. Let me ask you a couple things about yourself. Like, where did you grow up? Where did you go to high school? And, maybe some early organizing influences on you that turned you into a progressive dude that you are.
Well, my family came from Mexico in 1958. So when I came to Chicago, I had to go to school that they hadn't, that bilingual education was, non-existent. I went to Yates Elementary School, which is in the Humboldt Park community. I graduated there. I went to Tully High School, which is now Clemente, and I graduated from Clemente. And all through those years, I was active because I have a brother, Obed Lopez, who really,
quite a guy.
Yeah, he influenced me a lot. When I was in high school, for example, I was during the Cuban Revolution. I organized what we call the Tully High School Socialist Club.
Right on.
And we used to have debates on what was going on in Cuba. So he pushed me in that direction. And of course, the conditions in which we lived, it also helped in developing the type of analysis, and then joining groups that were advocacy groups. So that's how, after the Puerto Rican riots on Division Street in 1966, I joined my brother and when he organized the Latin American Defense Organization, which was immediately after the riots. And there's where I also got my knowledge on organizing tenant unions, organizing parents in the schools, and also getting into health. That was a big thing with Lalo, providing medical services.
Yeah, I sent you a picture of you and Peggy Terry during a Latin American Defense Organization training session on organizing with Rennie Davis.
I saw it. Thank you. And I couldn't recognize myself in the picture.
Oh, you were younger. You got more hair.
Yeah.
You're still doing good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your involvement with the Green Party, and is that still going on?
Well, the Green Party, when I got involved with the Green Party is when the Green Party in Illinois was growing. They had been able to get, the status of a party in Illinois, so they were able to run candidates.
Is that still true?
No, they had lost that percentage
Yeah.
on elections, so that's not true. But at the time, I have always felt that we needed someone in Congress that was a little bit more active in legislating rather than just advocacy, because we were not getting anything passed, for our district with the congressman that we had then. So that's how I approached the Green Party, so they could slate me as a candidate for the 4th Congressional District, running against Luis Gutierrez. I think that
Hell.
out of that, of course, out of that, I think that what happened was that the Green Party became a lot stronger around the Logan Square neighborhood, because that was the base. And they ran also someone for state rep. And I think that we see the results now with the kind of candidates that are running as Democrats, but the voters are probably the voters that were the base for the Green Party at the time. So I think the results are being seen now with all the progressive candidates coming out of that area.
Any comments on other prominent Latino politicians? Luis Gutierrez, what he's doing, and how about our pal Chuy Garcia?
I will limit myself to Chuy Garcia.
Good.
I don't know about the other one. But Chuy Garcia, I've known him since just before he became an alderman. He was also a community activist. He was very active in the Little Village community. We saw how he became involved with the Washington movement, Harold Washington movement, and he moved on. I think that right now, even from that time to now, I think Jesus Garcia really represents the conscience, the political conscience in the Latino community. I think that he has always been very consistent in his line.
Mm-hmm.
He has been able to navigate, the political system without losing really his stance on different problems that we face as a community. So I really respect him a lot. I admire him a lot, and I am happy that he's in Congress now.
How would you rate Mayor Lightfoot's first 100 days? There have been some concern that she has not engaged the Latino community as fully as others in the city. I don't know that that's true. It's just part of the talk out there. And 100 days is not a whole lot of time to assess somebody, but what do you think of her so far?
Yeah, I think that, well, to begin with, she ran a very good campaign. Again, her base was Logan Square, just like I said before.
And Rogers Park, she
In Rogers Park.
did real well up there.
Yeah, so I think that 100 days, like you said, is not enough time to really come to some conclusions. But I think that she has been taking some very positive steps, well, especially in terms of the budget for the city. I mean, I think that she's trying to do something about it. I think a lot of the people that I worked with during the campaign, they were concerned, that she had been a prosecutor, and they felt that she was going to be very, let's say, pro-police. I haven't seen that.
No?
I haven't seen that, but that was a concern. So it's, I think it's something that is, well, we're happy about it, and I think that the way she's moving, it's good. If we haven't seen too many Latinos in her administration, but she's got them. Hopefully, And because we have been concentrating in other areas, at the state level, we have them everywhere. We have them at different levels. We have 2 vice governors who are Latino, Jesse Ruiz and Saul Flores. So at the state
And the
level,
head
we're
of
doing pretty
the
good.
Board of Ed.
Right, that's where he was before, exactly. So at the state level, we're doing good. I think at the city level, we just have to do a little bit more pushing, so that we can get some people in places.
Well, Omar Lopez, thank you so much for joining us early on a Saturday morning, and good luck in your work at Calor.
Thank you very
Very
much.
critical work, and we wish to have you back soon for another check-in.
Yes.
You've
I
been
would
listening to
love
Live from the Heartland on WLUW, Chicago, 88.7 FM. Our next guest has a little sunshine for your life right now.